Hello students of Blues Cap School. I'm Malcolm Lake and I'm chairman of the Poppy Campaign for the Canning Legion.
And I'm School Liaison Officer John VanZoost. My role is to maintain connection with the school and advise you of everything we offer for students to take part in, like the poster contest and Poppy campaigns. We're really pleased to be here as part of your Remembrance Day ceremony. Malcolm, tell us a little bit about the Poppy campaign, how that all came about.
Well, the idea of poppies comes from the poem that was written by John McCrae, a Canadian. He died in the First World War, and he was in Flanders, and he started the poem with, "In Flanders fields the poppies grow, between the crosses row on row."
Yeah.
So it became a symbol of sacrifice and remembrance after the war.
And you know, the poppies grew there because the ground was being blown up, and poppy seeds need to be tilled into the soil, and they were everywhere.
Yes, they grow best in disturbed ground, as
That's
they
right.
say. Yes.
That's right, yeah. And at the end of the First World War, somebody found John McCrae's poem and published it, and that became the symbol for remembrance, the poppy. And later on, the poppies were made by veterans who returned injured and needed to have some sort of work to do. And so they made poppies and sold them. And today, poppies are made by Veterans Affairs because obviously all of the veterans of the First World War are gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, it started out being called Armistice Day and was changed to Remembrance Day to include other conflicts, notably the Second World War. And we're celebrating this year the 75th anniversary of the end of that horrible war.
That's right. And you know, somebody asked me one time, so what do you remember about the war? And I have to tell them, I wasn't even born then. But I had uncles who took part in the Second World War, and both of my grandfathers took part in the First World War. I never knew them. They died shortly after the war was over. The 75th anniversary of the ending of the war, it's hard to believe because Canada's been involved in so many other wars around the world. They weren't called wars, they were called conflicts.
Yes.
And sometimes they were peacekeeping missions, and sometimes, like in Afghanistan, they were full war-like conflicts. Yeah.
Now, John, you're Dutch, of Dutch extraction, aren't you?
I am.
And Canada played an important role in liberating Holland at the end of the Second World War, did it not?
They did. The winter of 1944-45 in Holland was terrible, and some Dutch people survived only by eating tulip bulbs. And when the Canadians arrived, they shared what food they had with them, to the point of dropping packages from the air, packages of food. And the campaign in Holland was terrible for the Canadians. They lost over 7,500 men and many more wounded. The cemeteries in Holland are just beautiful to commemorate the losses of the Canadians.
And of course, since then, many Dutch people have moved to our area.
That's right. There was a strong relationship that developed between the Dutch and the Canadians, and many of them emigrated to Canada after the war because so many of the buildings there and houses were destroyed, some by the Germans, some by the Allies.
Yes.
But in the early 50s, there was a major flood, and the land was flooded and destroyed, salt water. And so a lot of farms were destroyed, and many farmers emigrated to North America, and especially to here. And we're very fortunate to have them as part of our society today.
Now, John, we're speaking to some young people, and
Yeah.
I'd like you to tell them how you would like them to remember on Remembrance Day. What would you like them to remember?
I'd like them not to think of this as a holiday, but to think of this as a time of reflection. why do we have such great freedom in this country when so many other countries don't? It's because our military stood up for us, and they made us the supreme sacrifice. And we need to remember the sacrifice that was made in all of the wars that were major, such as the First and Second World War, but all of the peacekeeping conflicts. Men went away and saw things that they should never have seen and came back and developed PTSD. And so many of them, we never knew what it was that was causing the problem for so long. It's important to remember that those men and women made a sacrifice for us, for the rights for us to be free, to be able to go to school and feel safe, to be able to speak and feel safe, to be able to practice our religion and feel safe. And that's not possible in every country. And we need to remember that they made a huge sacrifice for us. And I'd like to see students take part in the literary and poster contest. I'd like to see them write letters to veterans. Maybe they have relatives who are veterans. Write letters to them and just say thank you. That's all a vet wants, is someone to say thank you for your service. And if they happen to see a soldier or an airman or a Navy personnel, just say thank you for your service. I have a nephew who's on board ship somewhere out in the Atlantic right now. He's gone for 6 months. And I'm very proud of him, and I very much appreciate the service that he is providing for us.
Well, students, it's soon going to be Remembrance Day, and we hope that on Remembrance Day you take that 1 minute to think about what we've said here today, about the sacrifices that people made so that you can have a free life.